A hacking ring has stolen up to $1 billion from banks around the world in what would be one of the biggest banking breaches known. The hackers have been active since at least the end of 2013 and have infiltrated more than 100 banks in 30 countries, including 4 in Canada, according to the Russian security company Kaspersky Lab. But before we start, if you are new to this channel, welcome to 1%. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to our channel. Kaspersky researchers have discovered the theft of $1 billion from the banks over the past 2 years. Researchers from the security firm, working together with the international criminal police organization Interpol, Europol, and law enforcement agencies, including the NHTCU, have uncovered a 2-year criminal operation which relieved banks of $1 billion worldwide. Since 2013, the cyber gang have attempted to attack banks, e-payment systems, and financial institutions using the Kaspersky malware. The criminal operation has struck banks in approximately 30 countries. What makes this crime unusual is the fact individual end users were not targeted, rather banks themselves were the victims. Sergey Galvanov, principal security researcher at Kaspersky Lab Global Research and Analysis team, told attendees at the Kaspersky Lab Security Analysis Summit that tracking the operation began when he was shown a video of a criminal taking money from an ATM without touching the machine. After gaining access to banks' computers through phishing schemes and other methods, they lurked for months to learn the bank's system, taking screenshots and even video of employees using their computers, the company says. Once the hackers become familiar with the bank's operation, they use that knowledge to steal money without raising suspicion. Programming ATMs to dispense money at specific times, or setting up fake accounts and transferring money into them. According to Kaspersky, the report is set to be presented Monday at a security conference in Cancun, Mexico. It was first reported by the New York Times. The hackers seem to limit their theft to about $10 million before moving on to another bank. Part of the reason why the fraud was not detected earlier, Kaspersky principal security researcher Vincent Diaz said in a telephone interview with the Associated Press. He said, "The attacks are unusual because they target the banks themselves rather than customers and their account information. As in the recent attack on Sony Pictures, which Mr. Obama said again on Friday had been conducted by North Korea. The intruders in the bank theft were enormously patient, placing surveillance software in the computer of system administration and watching their moves for months. The evidence suggests this was not a nation-state, but a specialized group of cyber criminals. But the question remains how a fraud of this scale could have proceeded for nearly 2 years without banks, regulators, or law enforcement catching on. Investigators say the answer may lie in the hacker's technique. In many ways, this hack began like any other. The cyber criminals send their victim infected emails, a news clip, or a message that appeared to come from a colleague, of course as a bait. When the bank employees clicked on the email, they inadvertently downloaded malicious code that allowed the hackers to crawl across the bank's network until they found employees who administered the cash transfer systems or remotely connected ATMs. Then, Kaspersky's investigator said the thieves installed a RAT, remote access tool, that could capture video and screenshots of the employees' computers. The goal was to mimic their activities, said Sergey Galvanov, who conducted the inquiry for Kaspersky Lab. That way, everything would look like a normal, everyday transaction, he said in a telephonic interview from Russia. The attackers took great pain to learn each bank's particular system, while they set up a fake account at banks in the United States and China that could serve as a destination for transfers. 2 people briefed on the investigation said that the accounts were set up at JP Morgan Chase and the Agricultural Bank of China. Neither bank returned requests for comment. Kaspersky Lab was founded in 1997 and has become one of Russia's most recognized high-tech exports. But its market share in the United States has been hampered by its origins. Its founder, Eugene Kaspersky, studied cryptography at a high school that was co-sponsored by the KGB and Russia's defense ministry. He also worked for the Russian military before starting his firm. When the time came to cash in on their activities, a period investigators say ranged from 2 to 4 months. The criminal pursued multiple routes. In some cases, they used online banking systems to transfer money to their accounts. In other cases, they ordered the bank's ATM to dispense cash to terminals where one of their associates would be waiting. But the largest sums were stolen by hacking into a bank's accounting system and briefly manipulating account balances. Using the access gained by impersonating the banking officers, the criminals first would inflate a balance. For example, an account with $1,000 would be altered to show $10,000, then $9,000 would be transferred outside the bank. The actual account holder would not suspect a problem, and it would take the bank some time to figure out what had happened. We found that many banks only check the accounts every 10 hours or so. Mr. Golovanov of Kaspersky Lab said, "So in the interim, you could change the numbers and transfer the money." The hacker's success rate was impressive. One Kaspersky client lost 7.3 million through ATM withdrawals alone, the firm says in its report. Another lost $10 million from the exploitation of its accounting system. In some cases, transfers were run through the systems operated by the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, or SWIFT, which banks use to transfer funds across borders. It has long been a target for hackers and long been monitored by intelligence agencies. Banks not yet identified. Most of the targets have been in Russia, the US, Germany, China, and Ukraine, although the attackers may be expanding throughout Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. Kaspersky says, in one case, a bank lost 7.3 million through ATM fraud. In another case, a financial institution lost 10 millions by the attackers exploiting its online banking platform. Kaspersky did not identify the banks and is still working with law enforcement agencies to investigate the attacks, which the company says are ongoing. The Financial Services Information Sharing and Analysis Center, a non-profit that alerts banks about hacking activity, said in a statement that its members received a briefing about the report in January. The White House is putting an increased focus on cybersecurity in the wake of numerous data breaches of companies ranging from mass retailers like Target and Home Depot to Sony Pictures Entertainment and health insurer Anthem. The administration wants Congress to replace the existing patchwork of state laws with national standard giving companies 30 days to notify customers if their personal information has been compromised. A bank then requested help from the security company to tackle the problem, as every ATM in a specific area had been taken from. Originally, Golovanov and colleagues searched for malware in the ATM network itself but came up short, finding instead terrible misconfiguration in the network configuration. This led to the discovery of Carburb and Anonak malware code, open-source malicious codes used in Carbonac. The presence of this malicious code provided the trail which the team followed to find Carbonac malware in a Moscow-based bank internal networks. The security researchers found that infection, which began through 3 spear phishing emails in the bank's network, had remained undetected for 2 months. In total, 22 Chinese exploits were found. This one case provided the chance to connect up the dots to other ATM thefts, fraudulent bank transfers, and missing deposits in banks across the world. The discovery of Carbonac united all of the thefts cases around the world through one advanced persistent threat, APT, according to Golovanov. Once infected with Carbonac, the malware spreads across internal corporate networks and tracks down administrator computers before using covert video surveillance programs to capture and record the screens of staff dealing with cash transfer systems. With this data, the gang members were able to mimic staff members and transfer cash fraudulently. Online banking and international payment systems were used to deposit stolen funds in Chinese and US accounts. It is possible that transfers were also made to bank accounts in other countries. However, criminal activity did not end here. In other cases, the cyber attackers penetrated right into the very heart of the accounting system, Kaspersky says. The criminals were able to inflate account balances before fraudulently transferring the money, a covert way of stealing funds without alarming a bank account owner, as only the inflated balance would be transferred away, leaving the original funds in place. Another way cyber criminals were able to steal bank funds was through compromised ATMs. Through Carbonac, bank ATMs were ordered to dispense cash at predetermined times, where a criminal associate would be waiting to collect the payment. The case in question, which brought Carbonac to the notice of the security firm, it is estimated by hacking into banks, the cyber criminals were able to make off with approximately $1 billion over 24 months. The largest amounts were stolen by breaking into banks directly and stealing up to $10 million in each raid. According to the security experts, on average, each robbery took between 2 and 4 months to complete from infection to theft. The researchers say it is likely the criminal actor originate from Russia, Ukraine, Europe and China. Countries including US, UK, Australia, Canada and Hong Kong have been targeted and the operations remain active. Golovanov commented, "These bank heists were surprising because it made no difference to the criminals what software the banks were using. So even if its software is unique, a bank cannot get complacent. The attackers didn't even need to hack into the bank's services. Once they got into the network, they learned how to hide their malicious plot behind legitimate actions. It was a very slick and professional cyber robbery." Today, we learned about the hackers who stole 1 billion from 30 different countries. If you like this video, let us know in the comment section below. We would love to see your responses. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.